The laptop screen glowed with a harsh white light, reflecting in Arthur's tired eyes. As a writer, he spent most of his life in imaginary worlds, but today reality was wearing him down. A loud honk outside shattered his focus. "Arthur, move it, or we're leaving you behind," Leo shouted from the driveway. Arthur grabbed his bag, locked his apartment, and climbed into his SUV. His friends Leo and Sam were already hyped up, the back seat filled with snacks and a guitar. "Finally," Sam laughed, handing Arthur a coffee. "The hills are calling, man. No more deadlines for 48 hours. Around midnight, they reached a fork in the road. To the left, the highway continued, winding around the base of the mountains. To the right, a narrow, rusted sign pointed toward a dense wall of trees. Tiger Reserve, restricted entry after sunset. "The GPS says the highway adds 3 hours because of construction," Leo said, leaning forward. "If we go through the reserve, we'll be at the resort by 2 a.m. Arthur gripped the steering wheel. "It's a tiger reserve, Leo. It's closed for a reason." "Come on, Artie," Sam nudged him. "It's a shortcut. The gates are usually open for locals. Your SUV can handle it. Don't be a writer. Be an adventurer for once." Arthur sighed, his hesitation losing out to the desire for sleep. He turned the wheel to the right. A few miles in, the trees began to lean over the road like giant skeletal fingers. A small wooden shack appeared in the headlights. A lone policeman stepped out, holding a heavy flashlight. He looked exhausted, his uniform wrinkled. Arthur rolled down the window. The air outside was suddenly much colder. "Where are you going?" the officer asked, his voice low and raspy. "To the hill station, officer, taking the shortcut," Arthur replied. The policeman shone his light into the back of the SUV, lingering on Sam and Leo. He didn't smile. He walked to Arthur's side and leaned in. "Listen to me carefully," the officer said. "This road is 20 miles of deep jungle. There is no cell service. There are no houses." He gripped the doorframe. "Do not stop the car. Do not get out. And no matter who you see on the road, no matter how much they beg, do not give a lift to anyone. Understood?" "Is it the tigers?" Leo asked, his voice losing its excitement. The policeman didn't answer. He just tapped the hood of the car and signaled them to move. "Just keep driving. Don't look back." As they drove deeper, the music felt too loud, too aggressive for the heavy silence of the forest. Arthur turned it off. The forest was different here. The trees were so thick that the moonlight couldn't reach the ground. The only world that existed was the 20 feet of road illuminated by the SUV's yellow headlights. "Guys, look at that!" Sam whispered. The headlights caught something ahead. A group of people was walking along the edge of the road. There were 5 of them, 3 men and 2 women. They were dressed in ordinary clothes, faded shirts and jeans, but they were walking with a strange, stiff rhythm. "Hey, maybe their car broke down?" Leo said, his hand reaching for the door handle. "We should help. It's dangerous out here." The cop said, "Don't stop," Arthur reminded him, his heart starting to hammer against his ribs. "He was probably talking about bandits," Leo argued. "Look at them. They look exhausted. We can't just leave them in tiger territory." Against his better judgment, Arthur slowed the SUV. He stopped about 10 feet away from the group.
The group stopped walking. They didn't turn around immediately. They stood perfectly still, their backs to the car. "Hey!" Leo called out, rolling his window down halfway. "Do you need help?" Slowly, the people turned. Arthur's breath hitched. In the glow of the headlights, their skin wasn't tan or brown. It was a sickly, pale yellow, like old paper left in the sun. Their clothes were tattered, but there was no blood. Then the tallest man stepped into the direct light. His face was a mask of nothingness, no expression, no movement, and where his eyes should have been, there were only hollow dark pits, empty sockets that seemed to swallow the light of the car. The others were the same. They moved toward the SUV, not walking, but gliding with a terrifying, silent smoothness. "Arthur, go!" Sam whispered, his voice trembling. "Arthur, go!" The man reached the driver's side window. He pressed his yellow, bone-thin hand against the glass. There was no sound of a heartbeat, no breath fogging the window, just a cold, dead pressure. Arthur slammed the car into gear and floored the accelerator. The engine roared, and the SUV fishtailed before screaming away into the darkness. In the rearview mirror, Arthur saw them standing in the middle of the road, 5 yellow shapes staring into the dark with eyes that weren't there.
They didn't stop until they reached the exit checkpost on the other side of the forest. Arthur's hands were shaking so hard he could barely turn off the ignition. The same policeman from earlier, or perhaps his twin, was sitting on a stool, drinking tea. Arthur stumbled out of the car. "There were people on the road! Their eyes!" The policeman looked at the terrified faces of the 3 friends. He set his tea down slowly. His face went pale. "You stopped, didn't you?" the officer asked. "What were they?" Leo gasped. "They looked dead." The policeman sighed, a sound full of old sorrow. During the lockdown years ago, a group of migrant workers tried to take this shortcut on foot to get home. They didn't know the reserve was closed. They didn't know the tigers had grown bold because the roads were empty. He looked toward the dark wall of trees they had just escaped. The tigers got them, all of them, but the jungle, it doesn't like to let things go. They've been walking that stretch ever since, looking for a way out, looking for a ride. Years have passed since that night. Arthur is still a writer, but he no longer writes about imaginary monsters. He doesn't need to. He never took that SUV on another trip. In fact, he sold it a week later. He told his friends it was because of the engine, but the truth was simpler. He couldn't stop looking at the faint yellowish smudge of a handprint on the driver's side window that no amount of cleaning could ever fully remove. Sometimes when he's driving late at night, even in the city, Arthur finds himself glancing at the rear-view mirror. He fears that one day he won't see an empty back seat. He fears he'll see a pale yellow face with hollow eyes, finally catching the ride they've been waiting for. The forest remembers what it eats, and sometimes it follows you home.